So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
Well, listen here.
Hey everybody, welcome to 90 Day Fiance MK. I'm Mr. O, and today Miss H and I will be discussing Season 1, Episode 21 of 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, which is Part 1 of the tell-all, and Season 3, Episode 13 of Before the 90 Days, which is the one where Darcy gets a key to Tom's heart. Alright, enjoy!
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H. How are you doing this week?
I am doing pretty good. This week was somewhat of an exciting week for us. We started an Instagram.
Yes, we did.
So follow us at 90 Day MK. And MK is MMKAY.
Right? And while you're doing that, and while you're online, just get your Instagram set up, go ahead and wherever you listen to our podcast, give us a review and give us a rating.
Yes. Rate us. But be nice.
But yeah, like, in fact, if you like the podcast and you're giving us a good rating,
yes.
then rate us.
Right. Everyone else,
Yeah, you can.
It's up to you.
You can.
It's up to you.
All right, so should we go ahead and start with the tell-all, or at least the,
yes,
tell some stuff, I guess.
Ugh. Tell a little bit. Yeah, so this was your first tell-all. What did you think of it?
Yeah, it was harder to take notes of what was going on because everybody's like talking to each other and
yep.
all
it was
involved.
All over the place.
Right, it was all over the place.
Yeah. So why don't we start off with I was going to say we should just start off with the people who were barely in it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
So I have on here Paul and Karini, because Karini wasn't even there.
I know they don't have Wi-Fi in South Africa, but apparently they don't have any kind of thing in Brazil. Karini wasn't even on the remote.
Well, yeah, and it's hard to say timeline-wise because Karini is supposed to be in America at this point. Mm-hmm. And what the rumors were is that Karini was there, but she was getting mental health on the set, like mental health support on set. So I don't know how legitimate that is because you saw Paul walking in by himself. Right,
with the fire alarm going off.
Right, which I thought was very fitting. Mm-hmm. I kind of wondered a little bit if they were trolling him.
Right.
Try to make light of his arson.
Because that's what you should make light of, arson. That's just always the punchline of a joke.
Especially with a weirdo like Paul, it's like you never know what's going to trigger him. I actually think Paul is like a nice guy. He's just so weird.
Yeah. I mean, he was
very polite to everyone else.
Yeah, and he has jealousy issues. I mean, that seems to be the biggest thing. That really takes him from being this weird to being like not really a nice guy.
Sure. So definitely not a whole lot going on with them. Not a whole lot going on with Jihoon and Devin quite yet.
No, I mean, Jihoon's funny, so,
He is. His little Home Alone
Yeah,
Kevin.
His reference point of New York is Home Alone 2.
Yeah. Devin looks different.
Different, yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely very toned down with the eyeliner
this
time around.
A lot of fake tanner.
Yeah. I thought her makeup choice was better, but girlfriend, wear a bra.
I know,
please.
right? That's like another gravity defying boob situation that I don't know how that works out. Like she was at least worried about it. Like Darcy's outfits, she's always just like going too far. Devin was clearly like, I'm afraid if I move wrong in this dress, it's just gonna pop right out.
Yeah, I feel like Darcy lives for the will it or won't it nip slip. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, that's not really Devin's style. Okay, so they were barely in it.
Yeah.
Who else was barely
Jenny
in it?
Was barely in it.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that she was hoping that Summit would be on the call because that would give her some kind of sign that he's willing to go against the family. Right,
which I'm not... By the way, I did note that the one thing I noted about Jenny is that this week it was Sumit.
Oh,
by her pronunciation, not Sami. Summit.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, she did say that the biggest challenge is being dependent on someone else because of the language barrier.
Right.
So, she can't even master saying something, I don't know, in English, really. A name. Yeah, so I can understand her challenges there. I just had one other quick note about her saying that she would super glue the engagement ring on.
Would she, like, at this point, like, knowing that he's married now, like, she's still like, if he proposed to me, I would never take the ring off. Like, what?
You shouldn't. You should super glue him to your hip.
Right.
I think that would be a more effective in this relationship. Okay, so really we only heard from Laura, Aladdin, Corey, and Evelyn. Oh, I take it back. Tiffany and Ronald, we just heard a little bit. From there, but from there stemmed some drama. So I feel like it extended a little bit more than they were intending. Because the format of the tell-all is they just kind of have everybody out there, have some like higher level thoughts, and then they focus in on all the couples. And so it looks like we only really got to Lauren, Aladdin, and Corey and Evelyn this week. Right.
Well, it looks like from the previews though, there's going to be more Laura Aladdin tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looked like Corey Evelyn was the big chunk of it. So I did want to mention the Laura Aladdin thing. I thought was hilarious. It's probably my favorite part of the tell-all. Was when they started talking about her purple vibrator, and
oh goodness,
and everybody had to pretend like they've never seen a vibrator before. Like, she's like, "How would you feel if your girlfriend had that?" And they were like, "I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
I'm man enough where that would never happen."
Yeah, exactly. Which is so weirdly like, I don't know. Is that still a thing people do? I just assumed everybody, was more open with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, they're going on national television. I mean, all these couples talking about their sex life. So it seems to me that they would be a little bit more open. But I mean, I guess the connotation is that if you're using sex toys, I don't know. I still think there is the thought that, regular sex isn't good enough where you need to bring in all these other things. But I feel like most people know you got to spice up your sex life.
Yeah,
with something.
I don't know. If
you're not bringing in other people, then
well, that's kind of the red flag. That's the Aladdin red flag. If you are just like, no, regular sex should be good enough and that's it, I kind of feel sorry for that girl.
Yeah. But he did call her Mr. Complain.
Mr. Complain. Right.
Yeah.
Especially he was like, do we have Wi-Fi in Qatar? It's fine. You have nothing to complain about.
Yeah. She does start making like very cryptic digs. And I thought was really interesting is that they never said the word divorce. Instead, they kept on saying break the commitment. So I thought that was really odd. Like, why can't you just say divorce?
Right. That is weird. I did not catch that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought their whole interaction was very strange. She, I thought, was really defensive and argumentative. And it was interesting because before going into it, she was saying, well, I don't know how it's going to be with him. I haven't talked to him for a while. I think he has things to say, and kind of making herself be the victim.
Sure.
And so I was surprised to see how, I mean, she wasn't super aggressive, but, aggressive enough to kind of instigate things a little bit.
Yeah, she definitely was painting like, I don't know, she came in there, they're like her little talking head before we had the initial thing on the stage was like, everybody else is going to be so happy and the things that have been done to me, very much getting ready to play the victim, which, I don't know, sounds like what you do when you're going to pick a fight and lose it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are already seen past the tell-all.
Yes.
Definitely in a black hole of, I don't know,
definitely
shit.
Losing it.
Something. Yeah, definitely. So Tiffany and Ronald. Okay, one thing I have to say about Tiffany. She looked amazing for just giving birth.
She did.
3 weeks before.
Yeah, she really did.
I was like,
she really did.
Oh my goodness.
It was crazy how much thinner she already looked, which is usually 3 weeks is crazy.
Yeah, it was super crazy. Because I mean, I feel like right after you give birth, you still kind of look a little pregnant,
For a
like
while.
maybe 3 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't look pregnant at all. She looked the same as before.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting because she when she was pregnant with Daniel, she didn't even know she was pregnant until she was like actively in labor. So I just thought that was really interesting. You know, if you're just going by the looks of things, I could kind of see how she didn't know she was pregnant.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She has that right body type for that. Because I've known other people who just like, you know, they get pregnant and they just like balloon up, not just, you know, in the stomach, like all over. They just get big everywhere. But yeah, I could totally see where, especially if she carried low or something, that she wouldn't know.
Yeah, no, she looked great.
She did. And she had the, I don't know. I did appreciate her snapping back at Corey. It was a little bit of a low blow.
Oh, yes.
But like,
oh, yeah.
come on, man.
It was 100% deserved.
Yeah, like I don't get that whole like, and it seemed like everybody else was on board. Like everybody's up there on stage, and everybody has their things that they're going to get called out on. Man, you don't just shut your mouth. Like let the host do it.
Okay.
Don't snipe at the other people.
Well, even completely separate from that, it was totally out of left field. Like that's the argument you're going to have. Oh, I think you're just in it for the green card. It's like this conversation does not lend itself to this conclusion. I have no idea. Like, completely out of left field.
It's like the show is literally 90 Day Fiance the other way.
Yes.
She moved to South Africa, and he's like, "Oh, you're in it for the green card." Like, I think you missed the point, man.
Oh my gosh, Corey! Oh, what a dunce.
Right?
Yeah.
There was no winning for Corey at all. I'll give him that.
No, but Tiffany's clapback was just, I felt like, I appreciate when people don't have to yell to get their point across. They just use wit and intellect to really give it to them. And I really feel like she did that because it makes her seem more classy than someone like Angela, who I'm sure we'll see at the tell-all, brawling. You know, I mean, Tiffany wasn't up in his face. She wasn't yelling at him. She just made a comment that wasn't exactly the high road, but at the same time, 100% true. And, you know, got him to shut up real quick because he could not refute that.
He had nothing.
Just saying, you know, right, the trust can be broken like when someone cheats on you.
Well, it was funny because that was the second time he got, like, I want to say owned, but the second time he got told by another cast member, because earlier, before they were in the green room, he was talking to Paul and he was like, "Well, you're doing all this for her. What's she doing for you?" And I was like, it was Paul. Paul had more sense than you, Corey.
Oh my goodness. I know. Corey, he just needs to get with it. Okay, so speaking of Corey, that was like the majority of this show was Corey and Evelyn.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about Evelyn's little scavenger hunt for Corey about items that he had to collect or do before they could get married?
Right. I don't know, because look, Evelyn is a shallow person, but she's very upfront about being a shallow person. And
sure.
And like, so yeah, it's wrong to be like, I want you to be fit, but it's not like it's new information. It's not like it's a new thing she put out. It's like she wants to be with a fit man. Like, and so I don't know. I kind of feel like if you want to be with her, then you got to take what that is.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. At the same time, I feel like what everybody's kind of general reaction would be is that love is supposed to be unconditional and you're putting conditions on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so to put these conditions onto a marriage, I think is what everybody kind of very like first initial negative reaction to it.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I get that, you know, she's never not been upfront about the fact that her love is conditional.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't go anywhere near that.
With it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be anywhere near that. I wouldn't want to be in a relationship that was predicated on that and stuff. But like, Corey is actively and really trying hard to be in a relationship with someone who's very upfront with saying that there are conditions here.
Yeah. Well, Corey is not the smartest cast member.
Mm-hmm.
He has given Evelyn $40,000.
$1,000.
That is just insane to
That
me.
how
I
how
can't-
how are you that? How does he obtain $40,000? Like,
Well, he lived with his parents. I'm sure that helped out.
right? I'm not saying it's totally fine. It's totally ways. People are smart people, but he just seems too
Right.
dumb to have made $40,000 extra that he had to just send
I
to
don't-
South America.
To give away.
Yeah.
Well, I think what he thinks of it as is like an investment in their future.
Right.
You know, like he put the money into, their business, their bar.
Their bar. Mhm.
And so he kind of sees it as a business investment, whereas Evelyn does, but for her future, not their future.
Mm-hmm.
Ji-hoon's comment, Corey is rich.
Corey's rich.
Laura says, not
Not
anymore.
Well, I thought it was really interesting because I asked him how much money he still had in his bank account now, and he said something like $1,500, right?
Yes.
And that made me
yeah.
think of a teachable moment that they've done surveys, and something like 40 to 50% of American people don't have access to $400, like for an emergency fund.
Right. That was Angela when she got back from Nigeria the first time. She was freaking out because she didn't have money in her checking account, and it was because there was some kind of bank error when Michael was withdrawing money. So she blamed Michael, saying that he had stolen, I think, like $500, and she basically had no money, which is kind of crazy.
Right. But it's really, really common. And so I thought it was kind of interesting that they
Yeah.
mentioned 1,500, and that's like more than most people have in their checking account.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, Corey's situation is different than the average American, but I'm sure Corey's just waiting for those TLC checks to come in.
Sure.
Once these things are aired and he's getting, $1,000 an episode, I mean, he'll at least have a couple thousand.
Right.
And I think that's also why some of these couples justify giving money to their partner is because, only one of them gets paid. The American is the one
right.
who gets paid. And so that could be their way of giving their partner their share for being on the show, is just sending them money. So, I mean, I don't know. 40,000 is more than her share of being on the show. But,
Yes.
at least you get some of that back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so enter Raul.
Enter Raul.
Raul.
Yeah.
What do you think of Raul?
Raul's a dick. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things, like, he tried to make it sound like Evelyn, he was always upfront about this, and you knew I had a crush on Evelyn all this time. But no, he didn't. He was not upfront about that at all. And it was
No.
totally behind his back and totally deceitful. But yeah, I found it really distasteful, him trying to act like, well, I'm the good guy. This is just the way I feel.
I feel like there are a lot of Rauls out there. Like the guy who is friends with a girl, or I mean, even vice versa, a girl who's friends with a guy, you're friends with the opposite sex, and your one party is interested in the other person, but the other person has someone. And so they're just kind of low key in the background. They'll be friends with, their interest partner. And maybe waiting for them to break up naturally. They're not actively trying to sabotage them, but they're definitely waiting in the wings in case they're single. And that's kind of how I took Raul to be. And I think if anything, you should just kind of feel sorry for him. I don't think he was actively trying to break them up, ? Maybe that was just my perception.
Oh, I think he was at
of
this
it.
point. I think he saw this as his
Yeah.
opportunity to break them up. And up until now, kind of was hoping that they would break up. And now is like, oh, here's the chance to kick his legs out and have him be gone.
I do wonder what he really sees in her, because he's seen her cheat on him. He has seen her treat Corey like shit. And for him to then say that she is so kind and,
Right.
the most wonderful person, it's like, you've seen how terrible she can be. How are you this in a trance?
Yeah, I don't see what it is. I've only seen very small flashes when she's interacting with Corey, where she even seems like a pleasant
She
person.
can be sweet.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
those are few and far between. Most of the time, she just is
for sure.
very withdrawn, and you know, I don't know. She's not that hot that it can make up for that kind of personality. From what I've seen, she doesn't seem sweet. She doesn't seem kind.
Yeah. Corey's a doormat. And then Raul, at the end of the day, wants to be best man at their wedding. That,
what the
I'm
heck?
just
That's
like,
just, yeah.
I
don't know.
Understand what you're doing.
You're either, you're either psychologically abusing them or really, really out of it. Just.
Well, they say keep your friends close and your enemies closer. What could be closer than the best man?
Right, but you're not supposed to say, you are my enemy. Come close to me.
Yeah, I don't really know what his motivation is.
He said the quiet part loud.
Okay, so I think that was all for the tell-all. Tell-all just in general, I think the general complaint, and I have to agree, is Sean being the hostess. Just, I mean, I feel like she really needs to ask the tough questions and really grill them to answer them, because I feel like she really just lets it go too easily if they kind of give this very fluff answer.
Right.
That isn't really, you're like, no, just tell the truth. Dig a little
That's
deeper.
Not what happened. Let's look at the video again. Right.
Yeah.
And
like
plus,
that.
like, I don't need to have my time, I don't know, wasted with like, ooh, is there anything these Americans weren't ready about living in a foreign country? It's like, no, you get to that dirt and stop this.
Right. Like, those are unnecessary questions.
Yeah.
Although I kind of wonder a little bit how, because I can't imagine that the tell-all is like 2 hours of them sitting there. It's got to be a full day of filming. And so part of it, I think, is editing. Can't blame the host. She probably does start off with like the softball questions that don't mean anything to anyone, and then, you know, it's not her fault they're keeping that stuff in.
True. Yeah. I guarantee it's a full day of taping, and she's doing a lot of work. But I didn't. Somebody noticed. I saw that on the internet. She's older than Angela and Laura.
Oh yeah, she's 57.
Like,
she looks
amazing. My God. You have to at least give her that.
Oh yeah, no, I will for 100% give that to her. Drinking from that fountain of youth. All right. So that brings us to before the 90 days.
Before the 90 days. All right. Do you have anybody particular you want to start with?
Okay. Let's just get this guy out of the way.
All right.
Caesar. Okay. Although I have to say.
I was going to say, do we have to talk about Caesar, or can we talk about Caesar's hot friend? Because he was way better.
I was just going to say that. I usually always say, I'm going to hurl my remote at this TV if this man is on my screen again. And then I was like, whoa, wait. Who is your friend? Who is your hot, truth-telling friend here? Jeremy, I'm really into you.
Like, how does Caesar end up friends with Jeremy? I don't know how it works.
I don't know.
Like, they clearly don't work out together.
How delusional. Right. How delusional are you, Caesar, that you are not listening to your very good-looking friend over here? He's telling you some very good information, and how are you ignoring it when it's coming out of such a beautiful man?
Right. I know. Maria would have come to Mexico for him. I know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she would have. I wonder if Caesar had pictures of Jeremy, like, in his profile.
I wonder.
And Maria's kind of like, oh. You know, because that's actually a thing, like when you're on like a dating app or something like that, and you have a group picture, and you're kind of like, oh, the good looking guy. And then you keep on like looking through the pictures and it's not that guy. And you're just like, oh.
Yeah. Why did you, it was a good looking one that was in the middle. And it was like, no, the one in the profile is the not as a good looking one is on the barely in the picture. Like, why did you do that to me? Bad.
Yeah, I feel like that's Caesar. Caesar probably has a ton of profile pictures with Jeremy in there.
Oh, I believe it. But I mean, obviously, more than Jeremy, it was the fact that she called him baby, and that was like $500. I need $500, baby.
Caesar.
Like, but she said baby.
Right. I mean, I think we agree that this is all just BS. So when he says he can't remember how much money he actually sent her. It's like, whatever. Like, this is all fake to begin with. But
Right.
I feel like if you're sending large amounts of money, especially when you don't have that kind of money to give someone.
Right. That was the other thing. I can't believe he had that in his bank account. Coming back from his trip from Mexico.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't.
When his credit card was declined for the plane ticket, to be
Right.
like, oh, I gave her $2,000. Like, you don't have $2,000.
No, you don't. No. That look on his face, that dopey look on his face, where he says, I just feel that this time is different. I just feel like she's going to follow through.
He's
like,
not even a good enough
don't trust
actor
her feelings.
to come up with a reason.
No.
Like, he just says, I feel
No.
it this time. Like, he's just infuriating.
He is. Okay, we're done talking about him.
Yeah.
Put a big X on my notes. to say we're done with him.
Okay, the other ones that only have one scene were Rebecca and Zied.
Oh, yeah. All the quotes.
All the quotes.
What time finished this report?
I finished its relation, of course.
This fight finished now.
Never stay with woman married.
I hate this so much. Or I hate this.
I hate this,
I hate this.
so much.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so speaking of his terrible English, I just find it very interesting when all these couples, well, whoever, or any of them, will say that they have this deep connection with someone they can barely communicate with. And I just kind of feel like these deep connections are being mistaken for lust or physical attraction.
Oh, definitely.
Because I don't understand how you can have a deep connection with someone like Zied when you can talk about 50 things.
Right. No, I totally agree. Like, if you're trying to explain, like, where the parts of a car are, like, what kind of a deep connection is that? Like, you can't. Yeah, I totally agree. You have to have.
I just don't even know what they'd be talking about.
Right. Like, I always feel like with deep connection, that's the kind of thing when you get into a conversation with somebody and, like, 4 or 5 hours go by and you look at the time and like, oh my God, we've been talking for so long, I didn't even realize it. And that's not.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can do that with someone that you can't communicate with.
Right. So, I don't want to say it's fake because I genuinely think she thinks that there's a deep connection. But I also think, she can't even tell his sister or anyone for that matter what exactly she likes about Zied.
Right.
And I think that's just so telling right there.
I think, and you say there is a little bit of, confusing it with lust, physical attraction. I think she's confusing it with, because she says this all the time. If it doesn't work with Zied, there's no one left for me. That's it. And so she's stuck in that mind frame, and so she kind of is fooling herself into thinking there's something there that's not, because if there's not something there, then otherwise that's it. I am gonna die alone. Which is ridiculous on its own set, but
So in the middle of towards the end of their argument, she says, "Do you still love me?" And like, he does not want to say yes. He is not in the mindset of, he's in an argument. He's upset.
Yeah.
And so he very, very reluctantly says yes. I hate when people do that. It's like they need affirmation in the middle of this argument. And I get it because, having an argument with someone makes you feel unsure about your place in the relationship. But it's just so needy.
Yes, very needy. Right, because you're making you all of a sudden take whatever. He was legitimately and righteously angry. He had all the power in that, and it takes that away. It's a way of like undercutting what he's feeling, and like taking it and making it all about your feelings. But do you love me? That's what's the important thing is, and not letting him, feel what he should be allowed to feel.
Oh, Rebecca, you have some things to learn. Okay, so where do you want to go from there?
Let's go to Angela and Michael. There wasn't much that happened there. We'll work our way up.
Okay. The engagement party was really fancy.
It was. It was fancier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Michael's family, they're a very good-looking family. Like, you saw his brother and his sister. And his mom looks great for her age. I think it's funny that Angela says to her she feels like her daughter.
You're like, yeah.
It's like, you look like her grandmother. So,
Right.
all right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I thought it was really funny that, again, it bothers me when you just say, okay, you're going to do this traditional thing in this other culture. Just shut up and do it. Don't complain about what you're putting on, especially when Angela put that on. That is the best she's looked all year long.
Oh, yeah. Well, because I think her hair was covered.
Yeah, I think so.
That really helps out.
That helps it. But that was from what I've seen, that's the best she's looked all year long.
Oh, they were great colors on her. Yeah, but she says she feels like a fat cow. It's like, I think that's weird because she wears clothes that are really tight-fitting all the time, but tight-fitting in weird spots, like not 100% tight-fitting, but like she always has her cleavage out.
Yeah.
Like Mama was like pulling up her dress to cover the cleavage.
She's like, no, that's not what we do. Yeah.
Right. But it's just like, I don't know. I feel like being more exposed would make me feel more self-conscious about my weight than being completely covered up.
Right. No, I get that. You don't want to feel like a sausage. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And actually, that's funny that you should say that because Angela does remind me of sausage, how she's encased in some of her clothes. Yeah. She had to tell Mama about their fertility visit. She was, quick to emphasize what a beautiful uterus she has. Mama probably has no idea what she is saying.
So you have a more generous outlook on that than I do. She lied to her.
Oh, no. I know. I mean, when she said beautiful uterus.
Beautiful uterus.
I don't think Mama knew
no.
specifically.
No. She was just waiting for the things. We are going to have a baby, which I think was really, really shitty of Angela because all she's ever yelled at Michael for is, why are you lying? Why are you lying? You're lying to me all the time. Why are you lying? You're lying to your friends. Why are you lying? And then, like, as soon as it matters, she immediately lies.
Right. No, I absolutely agree with you. But what I thought was interesting, too, is Michael could have spoken up, too. He could have told Mama what happened at the fertility clinic, and he could have said it in Swahili where Angela didn't know that he was kind of betraying her. But he didn't. He just let... Yeah. I mean, he's kind of a pathological liar in a way, so...
Sure. But,
yeah.
Yeah, and it's also like,
true.
I guess it's for the TV drama, but like, oh man, if you're going to try to have that difficult conversation, the middle of a party is not the best time to do it.
Right. I did find the party kind of odd. Did you notice that all the guests were at a table, all sitting on one side, almost like it was a dinner theater, staring at Michael and Angela?
Well, I believe, because they came out and danced and stuff. Like, that was, what was, okay, so I don't know. I know a little bit about Nigerian culture, but not enough to know whether this was a thing or not. Every time I've been to something in Nigeria where there's people dancing, people throw money at them. Like, that's a thing.
Ooh.
Like, people get up and just, like, if you're doing a good dance, they just chuck money at you. They, like, make it rain. And it's like a thing, and then you pick up the money.
Club.
It's unfortunate, a little bit like that without the, gross aspects of it. But I wonder if that's something that's just like a wedding thing or a different type of celebration thing, or if it's something the TV cameras were just like, this is weird.
Well, I mean, even in American weddings, you have, in some weddings, some of the couples will have a table at the front where everyone's just kind of staring at them like if they're on a stage. I find that really odd. I would not choose for everybody to be watching me eat and do whatever. I don't want to be on display like that. Yeah, but that's just me. I know a lot of people choose to do that. They want it to be all about them.
Well, I mean, that also, I don't know, it also kind of frees up everybody else to be like, are they at the table? Okay. Because, I don't know. Because the thing, I don't know, if you could talk about, if you go on a tangent about weddings, the thing that drives me nuts at weddings is receiving lines. When the bride and groom just stand there, everybody gets in a line. And I'm much more in with the weddings where the bride and groom just float around the reception and go to each table.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Avery and Omar?
Sure.
They didn't have a whole lot going on either.
No, not really. Just kind of.
Okay, because this is no new news. We all knew that this was their situation.
Yes.
No one's surprised by this except for Avery.
Except for Avery. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. So I do want to say Mama Avery is looking good and tan.
Yeah.
She even looked a little slimmer to me. It made me wonder how much time had passed.
True. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. I struggle with Mama Avery because she was like, have that situation where she said it out loud. I feel happy that she's not going to go, but I'm also kind of sad, but I'm also kind of happy. And so she was like trying to do that thing where to hide her like joy at the news that she couldn't go to Syria. Which I had some questions about that too, but what do you think?
I mean, other than Mama Avery saying some things that are culturally insensitive, for the most part, I like the lady. You know, I think she's someone who gets shit done. She's the kind of person who would have been doing research, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Mama Avery was the one that says, Avery, we need to go to the lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we need to go to the immigration lawyer, figure this stuff out. Let's do this. Like, she seems to be kind of the motivated driving force in this family. So, I mean, and they're in Columbus, Ohio. I don't have a whole lot of experience, but it is Ohio, so I'll kind of lump you into the Ohio group. Maybe some of the cultural insensitivity isn't, it's just due to lack of exposure and not really because, you know, you're low-key racist.
Well, I mean, okay, so now that we mentioned low-key racist, it was really interesting to me. I thought it became like an elephant in the room, how they were trying to keep politics out of it, because there's like one person that's responsible for this Syria travel ban.
Oh, sure,
and it is a person that I'm pretty sure some of that family voted for.
Yeah, I can see that, sure.
And so I was like, and they would she resent the family if that was the reason she couldn't see her husband? And they were there. Like, it was very much like they acted like, I thought they did probably a fine job because TLC doesn't want to get all too, you know, political, but it was definitely a political situation that they weren't acknowledging was a political situation.
Sure. Yeah. And it's one of those things where who knows, like in a year when the next election happens, maybe this won't be an issue, and so they'll just have to wait a year. Yeah,
which is something they didn't mention. The lawyer, I'm sure, at some point told them, well, this travel ban could go away if there's somebody else in the White House, and that might be what you have to wait for.
Right. So the lawyer tells Avery that she shouldn't move because it doesn't seem like it's a hardship if Avery does move, because then they're together. So then what is America's motivation for granting the visa if they're together? So that's the reason why Avery, Mama Avery, is happy that she thinks Avery isn't going to leave. But then, I don't know, it kind of sounds like Avery's still wanting to go.
Right. Well, it was weird. I don't think she understood what the lawyer said. And because she was like, well, maybe we'll both get visas and we'll go live in, Dubai or Qatar or something. And it's like, well, then you're together and there's no hardship. That was the point. It wasn't Syria specifically that she couldn't move to.
Right. Oh, goodness, Avery. She needs Mama Avery to like really spell it out. But even then, you know, I think she's just one of those people that it doesn't matter what her mother says.
Oh, no.
You know, it wasn't a reality until the immigration lawyer tells her exactly what Mama Avery told her. You know, then all of a sudden it's a reality and she's upset and crying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've both had students like that. You could say it 1,000 times. And then some guest speaker comes in and says something like, I never thought about that. You're like, oh my God.
I'm only telling you every day.
Exactly.
Sound like a broken record. Right. Okay. I think that's it for them. Oh, I do want to say that the little brother, I really like her brother. I think he's smarter than Avery in so many ways.
Oh, I think he is. I think I feel bad for Ethan because he's like, I'm sure he just has to deal with his whole entire home life is Avery this and Avery that and Avery's in Syria and Avery's in Lebanon and Avery. And he's just like,
rolling his eyes.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. What a dipshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's the
How
one.
am I the smart one?
He's the one that said she snuck the chicken when she was a vegetarian, right?
Yes. Yeah. After that, I was like, the little brother's my favorite. I like this kid.
Oh, Oh, yeah.
Keeping it real. I'm all about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, we have some fun ones that we left towards the end.
I
Where
know.
do you want to start?
That's how we build up. Let's go Tim and Jennifer.
Okay.
So this time...
Tim is babysitting.
Yeah. This time it was...
Tim is babysitting.
This time it was Jennifer that fell asleep. And...
Oh, gosh. Okay, so who do you think is at fault? I was going to start at the very beginning, but we can jump right into it. Who do you think is at fault? Because they did. She said, oh, don't blame me.
Right, because, yeah, she fell asleep this time, but he blew it the other 5 times. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it was like vindictive. I think he probably did, because she said it was 1 a.m. when she fell asleep. He was like, she fell asleep early.
Yeah, I 100% think it is Tim's fault. All the times, this time included, because there was like a red flag before they even went home. He's already putting a lot of pressure on himself. And so when he's saying, he's like, oh, like this is the last night that we can do this. When he's saying that in his interview before they even go home, I'm thinking he's already psyching himself up. This is going to end badly. He's like, if we're kind of going back to what we think has been wrong this entire time, performance issues, are you really going to be able to perform when it's like this last night, this is your last chance, and you're building it up? So then they go back to the place, and the way she tells it is that he decides that he needs to start packing. So he's packing until 1 a.m. And then at 1 a.m, then he kind of looks over and she's asleep. And at no point throughout this entire night has he tried to make a move on her at all. So, I mean, poor girl, falling asleep, because this guy's clearly not doing anything. He's packing. That seems to be a priority. So, I mean, Team Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, I'm always Team Jennifer. But yeah, because when he told it, he was like, oh, she fell asleep early. It made it sound like she fell asleep at like 9 or something.
Yeah.
But
no.
Yeah, no, he didn't. Yeah, I could see your version of the story being much more accurate.
I mean, it's not my version. That's how Jennifer tells it, and that's why she's kind of rolling her eyes, like, "Don't blame me for this."
Right. Okay, so I have a theory.
Yes.
So again, in the car. Okay, no car seat, but we'll put that to the side again.
Yes. Right.
He doesn't look at her in the car, right? He's doing that thing, same thing he did when he gets there, and he looks out the window.
Right.
My theory is he gets motion sick.
Okay.
And he doesn't want to tell her because he's embarrassed about it. He's embarrassed about everything. He's embarrassed about his whole body and everything physical about himself almost. And it's embarrassing to him that he gets car sick, but he has to stare out the window the whole time because he'll get sick.
That is an interesting theory. I don't know if I'm on board with it, because he just seems like, doesn't he seem like all full of excuses, like nothing is his fault? So I feel like if that were really the issue, he would have said, when she called him out at the beginning of the season saying, you can't even look at me. And he would be like, oh, well, I get motion sick. I have to look out the window.
Yeah.
I feel like he would have played that card.
I don't know.
Possibly.
I think his excuses, he doesn't like, and he doesn't go with any excuse that makes him seem physically weak. Right. So when he can't perform, he psyched himself out. He got in his own head. Right. And so I think he's very insecure about his physicality, and wouldn't make excuse. Mental excuses he'll make, but physical excuses, no.
So interesting you should say that, because something that I thought was interesting is when, thank God, someone on this show can actually identify things that they like about their partner without being super vague. So she's talking about what she likes about him. And I thought it was really interesting that she says mind and heart. Then she says good father figure, and I can see him being a good husband, meaning like he treats her right.
Right.
Nothing in there has anything to do with physical attractiveness.
No.
She didn't say anything about him physically. It's all about like who he is, which I appreciate, but I also think it's interesting that Tim is kind of making all of this like physical aspect of their relationship such a big deal, and I feel like she's already kind of written it off. Like, I'm just not going to have that part of the relationship if I'm with Tim.
Right. And so I don't know, that whole part where she was talking about what she liked about Tim and things, it made me feel really bad for her, actually. Because at least from what we've seen, I don't know, I've seen much, more involved father figures, and I've seen much like, more kind people.
Yeah.
And like,
Right.
if that's the top of the pile, then man, she's been with a bunch of guys who have treated her like shit.
Oh my gosh. No, I agree because, I mean, she goes on and on about how great he is as a person. And then at some point he says, oh, we fight a lot, but
That's
we've
our
just
thing.
established that's us. It's like, no, that shouldn't be any couple's thing. What's wrong with you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was just like, oh my God, who is she? And I could see where she went the other way, because I'm sure most of the other guys she's been with are very physically attractive. And,
yeah.
And she kind of went the other way. She was like, well, let me not worry about the physical piece and look for someone who's going to treat me right.
Right. I feel like she very much implied that her ex-husband like physically abused her.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of see how, you have that association. Yeah. We'll kind of talk about my feelings on shallowness later. It's part of my life lesson.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll come back to that then.
Okay. Yes. The middle finger ring. That's how she decided to end
To
this
replace it.
conversation
Yeah.
about, yes, I'm about that. It's very
Yeah.
Sex in the City. Like, I'm going to flip you off every time.
Every
you
time we
wanna see
mention this ring. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he said that he doesn't even care what finger she wears it on as long as she wears it. Like, why does he care that she's wearing this ring?
Yeah, I don't know. It's and to me especially, that sounds like wearing it on her middle finger is literally saying fuck you.
Right.
And it's like, well, at least she's saying fuck you, but at least she's talking to me. And it's like, that's not right.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, oh, it's because he's like staking claim, like this is mine. But yeah, the middle finger, like that just seems like it could be anything. I buy rings for myself and wear it on whatever finger, like I don't.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, half the people on the show wear not wedding rings on their wedding ring
that's
finger.
true.
So I don't know what's up with that either.
Yeah. A couple other notes. I was impressed that Tim actually knew what beso meant, considering Corey didn't know what kiss meant in Spanish. So at least there was that. Yes. So at least he said beso.
Uh-huh.
And then my other weird note was the photo shoot. Why was she having to balance on one foot the entire time?
Why did she look so much less attractive to the photo shoot than she looks any other time?
She really did.
And why was Violet...
She's a beautiful lady.
Why was Violet there? Like, take Violet
She
around the
has nowhere
corner.
else to be.
Okay, but Tim was watching her, right? Like, she doesn't have to be right.
Tim could have taken her to the park.
Yeah.
I feel like they were in a park.
But, like,
yeah.
she doesn't have to be 2 feet away from the camera. Just, like,
right.
Go somewhere.
Okay. What next? Ben and Akinyi?
Sure. Sounds great.
Okay. So they're in negotiations, and Ben slides some napkins over to Mama and Papa Akinyi, and I was like, what's inside those napkins? They never revealed what was in those napkins.
That's right. They didn't. I assumed it was like the money, but you're right. They didn't. I thought it was going to be the money, but then they kind of disappeared. And then Fidel laughed at him.
It was before he even brought out, the metaphoric bowls.
Right.
It was before they even talked about that. He's like, first of all, let me give you a token of appreciation. Those can't be napkins. He's not giving these people napkins.
I thought they were envelopes. Yeah. Or something.
Yes. Okay, envelopes. All right. But what's in them? No one ever said.
That's true.
Curiosity is going to kill me.
But if a dog costs $100, how many dogs would a wagon make for a gift?
Oh my goodness. Wait, how much is a wagon worth? I feel like this is algebraic math.
It was doing some sort of like, it was like, it's like the SAT math. Like, if one bison, yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. 8 oxen, and I have 16 axles.
The point is how much money would it take for the oxen to reach the, I don't know. I lost it. I lost my metaphor. The point is that we have to base everything on the price of oxen or cattle or sheep.
Okay. Yeah. 60,000 shillings. I don't know what the answer is, but I feel like it's 60,000.
60,000 is already. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Which was less than he thought he had.
Yes. The metaphor thing that was somewhat confusing, and I felt like very convoluted.
It certainly was. I think it comes back to, I would imagine that when the bride price tradition first started, they literally traded cattle and livestock.
Yes.
So that's probably why they do it that way. But man, he was not ready to do that. He was like doing the math in his head, and then he did it.
Oh my gosh.
And then it's not a good sign when, as soon as you name your price, your potential brother-in-law laughs at you.
Yeah. Yes, definitely not. I felt like you could just see the stress in his face.
Oh my God.
Like, he looked like steam was going to come out of his ears. Like, he was on overload. He was sweating so badly and, like, thinking and really concentrating. And he had this, like, look on his face. Like, what's happening right now? Well, how many bowls am I supposed to give this family?
Right. And it's like, well, part of it is, like, he's got this missed thing where it's like, I really have to concentrate and really have to take my time, or I'm going to embarrass the family. But the fact that he takes so much time to say something so simple makes him look really dumb to the family. Like, he's unimpressed with the family because he's like, I have a token of...
Yes, here, accept these napkins.
Yeah. And he takes like 5 minutes to say it. And I'm like, oh my God, just talk, man. Just talk.
Yeah. And then the napkins had... the big question, what were in the napkins?
What were in the napkins?
Were they envelopes?
Was it bacon?
We don't know.
I don't know.
Sausages.
Yeah,
he has
the
all
sausages.
those. That was all those sausages that they made. They had to go somewhere.
Had to go there. I bet he was so nervous that he agreed to an unknown bride price.
I was like, Ben, you're an idiot.
Oh,
what are you
man.
doing? Even Akinyi was like, you should have negotiated that. Like, what are you doing?
So Papa Akinyi is going to charge him like $600 a month forever now.
So that's an interesting question, because I feel like what happens when he gets to the point where he can't pay whatever it is? I mean, I feel like Papa Akinyi was so quick to agree that even if he said he would send $50 for the rest of his life, I think he would be okay with that.
Right.
But what if all of a sudden he's like playing hardball and saying, no, we need more money. Like, things are tough over here. And now he has to choose. Like, what do you do at that point? You just like...
Well, I mean, it depends on... You're going to be in America.
Does she get repoed?
And Akinyi's going to be in America, and Akinyi's going to have her visa. So at some point, you're just going to say, screw you. I don't have to pay you money anymore, man. I'm married. And sorry, shame upon her family, but she's not even coming back to Kenya. So, like, at some point, that's what's going to happen. Or Akinyi's going to leave.
Right. Oy. Okay, did you see their cake? First of all, I love cake, so... Right?
Are they always white and black, or was that a special cake?
I also had that exact same question, so I looked it up online, like traditional Kenyan engagement cake, traditional Kenyan wedding cake. There was nothing that said anything about that, because I was like, did they just do this because he's white?
Right.
Like, I really was just like, I feel like it kind of makes sense because, engagements and weddings are all about two people coming together. So I can see two different colors coming together into one cake. I did think it was interesting that Ben was the chocolate side and Akinyi was the vanilla side. But I was just like,
that's what they're going to get.
Them?
Right? Because Ben takes the chocolate side and Akinyi takes the vanilla side.
Yeah. And then I also, when I was looking for that, it said that they had a lot of things on marriage rituals, and it said that what they had was a custom marriage. So a custom marriage isn't even legally recognized in Kenya. So remember a couple weeks ago, I had looked up, getting married in Kenya, and it was saying all these things about, waiting 21 days, having to get like a marriage certificate. And so they had what is referred to as a custom marriage. And so that is not legally recognized. So I thought that was interesting because is Ben's church going to recognize the custom marriage? Because now Ben has slept with Akinyi.
Yes.
So is this going to bring shame upon him in the church because they're not legally married?
I don't know. It depends on his church. I don't know how. I don't know. Different churches have different levels of shamitude when it comes to this, and especially because I don't know. I guess he's not a minister, so he can't marry them. But I don't know. I couldn't pay attention to all that because I was too distracted by the cookie jar was well taken care of.
Oh God!
Which
so much cringe.
So the cringiest
satisfaction
thing.
survey.
Oh, and you know what?
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you that she was not satisfied. She was giving
I
low ranks on
know.
that.
Oh my gosh, yes, she was like just the side eye she was giving him
Yeah.
through that entire conversation. And that's actually funny because I had in my notes, my theory is that she was not satisfied because ever since the wedding night, she did not smile once, I felt like.
Mm-mm. Oh no,
She was very like, ugh, like just giving him the like annoyed look, you know, like rolling her eyes, like side eye, like, ugh, this guy, I'm
Yeah.
stuck with you.
So that was just yikes. She was very, very clearly to me underwhelmed.
Yes, she was like, this is it.
This is it.
Oh,
This is what I signed up for
Oh,
the
God.
rest.
It's a good thing this isn't legal.
Right.
But okay, I did feel bad for her because even though she seemed very like ugh, about him, then she gets like upset that he has not told his family that he's married, or anyone for that matter, friends, anybody. So she says she's shocked, confused, and concerned that Benjamin hasn't told anyone. And so they kind of have this conversation, and he doesn't have a good answer for her. And so kind of going back to the whole Rebecca and Zied thing, he just says, but I love you.
Right.
And, you know, I hate when people like throw those kinds of things in arguments. It has no place for that. So it's like, she's like, and you think that makes it okay? And he's like, well, I know I love you doesn't make it okay, but it makes it better.
Makes it better.
How? How does it make it better?
Right. So, yeah, I don't know how it makes it better because, like, yeah. So when you say I love you, what you're saying is I love you, but you're not acting like you love me, which is like more genuine than that. I thought it was really funny how she was like, I know he's talking to people all the time because he's always on his phone.
Yeah. 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 She totally called him out.
Yeah, she's totally right. I mean, how do you, this whole, experience has been completely about her family. And so she's obviously a very family-oriented person.
Yes.
So for him to be like, yeah, I didn't tell my dad yet, really, I couldn't imagine how that, makes her feel. Like, makes her just completely, it almost feels like a rejection.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand because, I've been in relationships where I felt that my partner was embarrassed of me. And, I've been in actually a couple of, I was very, very young when this happened, but I've been in a couple of relationships where, my boyfriend didn't tell his friends that he was dating me. And it makes you feel like, they're embarrassed to be with you. And it makes you feel really bad about yourself. And you shouldn't feel that way, especially over something where you should feel really good about yourself. This person, in theory, loves you and is choosing to commit themselves to you, but they're embarrassed to like tell their family. So, I feel for her because that's just not a nice situation to be in.
Right. All right.
Darcy and Tom. Yeah.
Darcy and
Tom.
Tom.
So rumor.
Okay.
Stacy and Florian have broken up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, did we really foresee them being married forever?
Oh, no. Of course. Did they actually get married?
No. They haven't gotten married. So, but they were engaged.
They were engaged, right.
Trajectory of their relationship.
But they were engaged for like 3 years.
Forever. Oh my goodness. Yes, I know.
We know because 4 is bigger than 3. And Darcy had to say 4 years 1,000 times.
Oh my gosh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Tom is making some interesting choices here. He has been mentioning marriage in front of Darcy. It's like, what is wrong with you? Do you forget who you're talking to?
Down an aisle in a church.
Yes. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, he's playing with her.
Do you remember who we're... I know, I was saying, playing with fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then she attaches another English character to him. He's now Robin Hood, along with 007.
Yeah, but come on. He's from Nottingham. Of course he was going to go for Robin Hood.
Oh, my gosh. I was thinking, what other English characters do you know? I was like, Mr. Bean? That's the only other English character I know.
Well, I guess when they break up, he can be Mr. Bean.
Yeah, so...
Faulty Towers.
I don't know anyone else.
Yeah. I could probably go on for a little while, but that's okay. We don't need to.
I have to say, Tom's fashion note, he is just awful. What is he wearing?
Okay, so I couldn't focus on what he wore because he had like cuts on his face like he shaved with a bread knife or something. Like it was ridiculous.
I missed that probably because I was distracted by what he was wearing.
I was distracted by his shaving cuts and you were distracted by his outfit.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so they go out to the nice dinner.
Mm-hmm.
He is literally wearing a plaid jacket with polka dot ties and a paisley like pocket square.
He's power clashing.
I was like, what is going on with this outfit? It was just so hideous.
Wear a solid color. It's okay for one of your things to be a solid color.
They kind of deserve each other in the fashion world because I feel like she would try to do something like that.
Three different patterns. I could see it.
Yeah,
I could see it.
I feel like she would.
Whatever. It's got to be the most. Whatever they decide to go with, they're going to go with it the most.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So he tells her that she is the most beautiful person he's ever met. Mm-hmm. I was like, really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. He must not have met very many people, but that's okay.
I know. I was like, what are you, living in a hole? I don't know.
He's in London.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like to me, she would be more beautiful if she didn't have so much work done.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree with that.
I feel like you can't be in the running for most beautiful person if it's all fake.
I agree. Yeah. I generally tend to think work looks bad. And if it's obvious that you had work done, that's going to take away, not add to.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, goodness. But Tom likes red lipstick.
Oh, my God. That was so skeevy.
Oh, and I feel like he says he likes it, but it's like, can you tell her when it's not on her lips anymore? Like, do the girl a favor. Come on now. Mm-hmm. She's on camera.
Right. And that's also another thing. When you're praising how good someone looks, their lipstick is not them. It's their lipstick.
Right.
Like you're praising the lipstick.
Yeah. That's like saying, that's a really pretty dress.
Exactly.
Well, dress comes off.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so we were both wrong.
Yes.
About what Tom was giving her.
It wasn't.
What did I say it was going to be?
An appreciation ring.
Oh, yeah, I said it was the appreciation ring.
Because she's been down that road before, right?
Yes, and what did you think it was going to be?
Oh, I thought it was just going to be some kind of jewelry, but
yeah,
not
like
a ring,
earrings
like earrings or something. Yeah. Which was funny because she later said she would have preferred it to be a pair of earrings or a necklace.
Oh, yeah. Okay, because he ends up giving her a promise key. What the F is that?
Was that actually the key to his house? Because does he live
I don't think
in a
so.
12th century castle? Because it was like old-timey, like skeleton-looking key.
Right. I don't know, but in England, I feel like
more likely in England.
More
yes.
of those kinds of keys.
Yes.
But okay, but my question was to where? It's not like she knows where this key opens. She's never been to his place.
Even been there, and she's going home tomorrow.
Yes, and it's not like she lives in the area where she's just gonna pop by and use this key.
Right.
And then I was thinking, doesn't he live at his parents' house?
Right.
So you're giving her the key to your parents' house.
It was.
What kind of BS is this?
Oh, he was like, I give you the keys so you can come and go as you please. And then later was like, yeah, don't call me for like 10 days. I'm going to be really busy.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel like this was all just an elaborate setup to make it look like something. And then he had to give her something. And all
right. So he drops her off and then talks to the producers. And like spontaneously comes up with the idea that he's going to run back through the airport. Like he hadn't been planning that since the moment she got there.
Yeah, it just seems so fake to me.
So fake, right? And it just, I just feel bad for Darcy because, like, I don't know why she can't see through it. Like, it's like she just gets tricked every time.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, is she acting? Because I definitely feel there's like kind of this fame whore side of her where she wants to be on TV. I mean, this is her 3rd season she's been on. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I kind of feel like she has to, I don't know. Well, I mean, feel like she knows, but then is she really that good of an actress?
Well, I mean, she spent so much of her time drunk. I don't know, she could be acting, you know? Like, you can't be that drunk and that acting at the same time.
Right.
You know,
right.
Unless you're like Peter O'Toole or something, but it doesn't work otherwise.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, she really does play desperate and needy and insecure. She plays and emotionally unstable, like a little too well. Where do you really want everyone to kind of think of you as that?
Right.
Or is that just really you? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Well, it's hard to tell if she's acting or not, but I definitely feel like Tom is.
Oh, Tom is definitely acting. And it's like, yeah, she's a much better actress if she is acting, but that, like, you know, points to it not acting. Like the other people who are on the show that are clearly acting are also pretty bad at it, like your Caesars and things like that.
Oh, gosh.
They
yes.
stick out so much.
Right. So I'm not sure if you caught this, but at the very end when they were doing the previews for the tell-all for next week, looks like Jesse's back.
Oh, I know. I didn't see that.
The bitch is back.
Oh.
And it's like, what do you have to add to this?
I know. It's clear. That's clearly just like, yeah, we're going to bring this guy just to emotionally torture Darcy for a few minutes.
I know, the poor thing. She's been through a whole lot. But I kind of feel like he's there to just be like, I told you so. I told you she was an alcoholic. I've been saying this since day one.
Right, which is, I don't know, seems like a weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not that surprised. I feel like Jesse is always about making it about him and how he's right. And you know, he's always trying to come up with like he's the sympathetic one and he's been the victim. And so I think any little way to throw Darcy under the bus and to say that he was right, he would take full advantage of it.
Right.
But it's like he was not part of the season at all. He's not related to anyone. It's like, why are you here? But yeah, that should be a crazy train wreck. Looking forward to next week.
Right.
Not to him, but you know.
Well, I think that covers everybody.
Yep. All right. So that brings us to Student of the Week.
Yeah, I think we went the same way for Student of the Week.
We did.
All right.
And it's because everybody else was just so terrible.
So bad. All right. Yeah, I have Jennifer. And I don't know. I really have Jennifer for being... Like I mentioned, she's clearly been in a bunch of really bad relationships before. And she's the one person, you know, there's been other people in the show that have been in other relationships that were bad, you know, Rebecca, Darcy. But she's the only person that seems to be trying to go in a different path and isn't just hoping that the same person they're dating is different than the last person, even though they're just like them. You know, because we hear that a lot from Darcy. Well, he must be so much different from Jesse, but he's kind of the same. And Zied is not that much different, doesn't seem that much different than Moroccan ex-boyfriend. At least she's going in a different direction to try to find her happiness.
Yeah, so I think the reason why I thought Jennifer was Student of the Week, well, one, process of elimination, because everyone was just terrible this week.
Yeah, everyone was so bad.
It was difficult to find a gem out of this week.
Right.
But for me, I kind of felt like she is making a decision about Tim for her daughter. And I feel like that's one of the rare times that it really seems like any parent on this show has really, really seriously considered their partner in the context of their children. And almost to the point where I feel like she's only picking Tim because of her child. If she didn't have Violet, I don't think that she would be putting up with Tim. You
No,
know?
that's agreed. Agreed.
So, I mean, that's why I think it's like, finally, someone who genuinely is putting their child first. So that's why I have her as student of the week.
All right. Well, you know
All
what?
right.
Asterisk student of the week, runner up is Hot Jeremy.
Oh, yes. Of course. He will always be runner-up. No, you're first in my heart, Jeremy. Just kidding. So class dunce.
Okay. Well, we have to make sure we both do it this week because we forgot to get yours last week.
Oh, yes, we did.
My class dunce is Avery for being literally, like we mentioned before, like so many of the students I've dealt with in class, for just not listening when people tell her things. Like so many times people are like, but he's from Syria. That's going to be a problem. And she's like, no, it's not. Why are you so negative? And they're like, because he's from Syria and that's going to be a problem. And it wasn't until she had no other choice. And she was like, especially since he even said, I didn't expect this to go this way. I'm like, well, you know what? You know who did? Literally everybody else. And so she's my class dunce just for not thinking things through or planning out or listening to anybody else and just, I don't know, being a 19-year-old teenager, basically.
Right, right. So this week, my class dunce was Corey. And I feel like for the very obvious reasons, but most specifically for not staying in his lane and going after Ronald, saying he wants a green card out of nowhere. But I mean, there's so many other things he's done this week that, really has him as class dunce. So moving on to life lesson.
All right. My life lesson is, and this is specifically to Benjamin, but it applies other places too. I'll talk. Negotiate the price for something before you agree to start paying it.
Yeah.
Don't just start paying something if you don't know how much it's going to cost. So obviously that primarily goes to Ben, but Corey and Caesar are doing the same thing. They're just going to keep making those payments. It's just not going to their dads. It's going right to them. But they're just putting the money out there.
Yeah, it's like driving a car off the lot before you know how much you're paying for it. It makes no sense.
Right. It's like after the plane takes off, you're like, how much is this ticket again? Do I have to keep paying for it after I land?
Yeah.
So get those prices nailed down.
Exactly. All right. My life lesson was inspired by Rebecca and Zied, even though there are other couples that are also guilty of this. But don't lie to yourself and everyone else if you're just being shallow. I feel like just own it. I'll tell you that I'm shallow when it comes to dating. And, looks are somewhat important to me right now. I know that's not always the best decision, and maybe that's why I'm still single, but, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, this pretty person that has nothing behind their beauty is really deeply connected to me, So just be upfront about it. Right.
A lot of times, and I feel like this is true for, Rebecca specifically, but like a lot of them are the thing that's, most attractive about someone is that they're attracted to you, even if there's nothing behind it.
Yeah. And I feel like that can only take you so far.
Oh yeah, that's a short-term thing.
Right. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe Rebecca's kind of feeling like that's fine,
Mm-hmm.
She's, I can't see her doing all this all over again. I don't know. Maybe. She said this is it, but
she said this is it, but then they do it again. But Tim also said this is it. So
I know. They've all said that.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Guess what, everyone? You will love again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's attach that to my life lesson too.
Right. There's love for you still.
Yes, you will love again. Okay, so next week we have the tell-all tonight. Which
right.
I don't know if there was anything.
Is it long? I think it's long.
Maybe. And then next week is, I think the first hour is wrapping things up, and then the second hour is the first part of the tell-all.
Yeah,
for,
that's
before
what it seemed like. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so I've heard some rumors about the before the 90 days tell-all, so I don't know.
Yeah?
Well, okay, so the rumor I heard is that Angela gets kicked out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, it could be one of those things that, they always put those rumors out there and then it never ends up being as saucy as it sounds.
Right. Well, you kind of see a bit of confrontation between her and Rebecca. And I was actually surprised at how tall Rebecca was compared to Angela. She like, towered over her.
How short is Michael?
I don't know.
Because Michael's shorter than Angela, right?
I think they're the same height, aren't they?
Maybe. I don't know. In my head, Michael is shorter than Angela.
Yeah.
But that just might be because she dominates him all the time.
Right. I think Rebecca might have been wearing heels too, but she looks so much taller than Angela. So it looked kind of funny, like, little chihuahua going up against a pit bull.
Right.
And like yipping. I feel like that was Angela. So who knows? It should be interesting. But I feel like it wouldn't be a tell-all if Angela didn't go after someone.
Right? Angela's going to go after somebody. Darcy's going to cry.
Yes. These are all accurate predictions. Yeah, they're not outlandish.
So we'll see what happens.
All right. So thank you all for listening. Please give us a rating and follow us on Instagram.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.